My dad gave my sister the company I built. I walked away and joined our biggest client. My father handed my sister the company I built. I walked away, joined our biggest client, and watched the firm collapse without me. For 14 years, I worked at Matthews Commercial Construction, my family's company. I started when I was 22, doing summer labor while I was still in college. I learned estimating during school, earned my engineering degree, and eventually became operations manager. I built my life around the company. While I was there every day growing it, sacrificing for it, my sister Clara was living in New York. She worked in marketing, popped in for the occasional visit, and lived her own life. I stayed. I carried the weight. Ethan, my dad said, snapping me out of my thoughts. Did you hear what I said? I blinked and looked around the conference room. My parents, my sister, all eyes on me. Sorry. What? This doesn't change your role, Dad said, calm and reassuring, like he was doing me a favor. You'll remain operations manager. Clara will be taking over as CEO when I retire next year. My sister smiled at me. It was part sympathy, part victory. She was 2 years younger than me, but she stood there like someone who had just been handed everything I had worked for. I hope you know how much I value you, she said softly. I couldn't do this without you. She had worked at the company for exactly 1 year. I had given it 14. The question slipped out before I could stop it. Why her? I asked. Why not me? The room went dead quiet. My father cleared his throat. My mother's smile tightened. My brother-in-law suddenly found his briefcase fascinating. Ethan, Dad said carefully, we've talked about this. Clara has vision. She's good with people. Clients love her. And I'm not CEO material, I said. That's not what I'm saying, he replied, avoiding my eyes. Mom stepped in. You're essential. You'll help behind the scenes. Clara will need your support. Behind the scenes. That's where I had always been. Making everything work while someone else took the credit. Clara came over and took my hands. We'll be unstoppable together, she said. You run operations. I bring in clients. I looked into her eyes and realized something worse than jealousy. She truly believed she deserved it. Congratulations, I said, pulling my hands away. I've got work to finish. I walked out and ignored my mother calling my name. That hallway felt different. Photos lined the walls. Projects. Ribbon cuttings. Client handshakes. My father was in most of them. Clara was in several. I wasn't in any. That night, I sat on my balcony with a bottle of whiskey and my laptop, reviewing files like I always did. The city lights shimmered below. I could see buildings we had built, including Harrington Tower. Our biggest project. My project. I had stayed up 3 straight nights to win that bid. Calculated every cost. Designed a construction method that beat firms twice our size. Dad had presented it. Clara hadn't even been involved. She texted me. I know today was a shock. Let's have lunch tomorrow and talk through the transition. I value your input. I didn't reply. Another email came in. Another problem that needed me. I had worked 70-hour weeks for years. Missed holidays. Cut vacations short. Sacrificed relationships. All because I believed one day it would be mine. I shut the laptop and stared at the sky. If my work meant so little to them, maybe it was time to stop giving everything. The next morning, I arrived at 8 sharp. An hour later than usual. People noticed. My inbox was exploding. Voicemails. Urgent emails. Project managers waiting. I handled everything efficiently. No overextending. No absorbing their stress. Clara stopped by around lunch. Ready to go? She asked. I can't, I said. I've got plans. She frowned. We need to talk about the transition. There's nothing to talk about. You're the heir. She tried her old tone. Don't be like this. I looked up. Like what? I'm doing my job. Exactly my job. Her expression hardened. Dad said you didn't return his calls, and you were supposed to review the Westridge bid. That wasn't on my calendar, I said. If it's urgent, I can look next week. It's due Friday. Then someone should have scheduled it properly. She stared at me. Fine, she said. I'll tell Dad you're unavailable. At 5 o'clock, I shut down my computer and walked out. We lost the bid. My father called me in the next Monday furious. We lost Westridge because of a rookie mistake. That's unfortunate, I said. You're not available anymore? I work 8 to 5. That's my role. Since when? Since you made it clear I'll never own this company. He looked stunned. I'm not punishing anyone, I said. I'm working exactly the position you gave me. A few days later, Harrington Group asked for me specifically in a meeting. Alexander Pierce pulled me aside afterward. Matthews has you to thank for our success, he said. If you ever want to change, call me. A week later, Clara promised Harrington an impossible timeline. They threatened to walk. Dad stormed into my office. Fix this. That's a CEO problem, I said. He offered me co-CEO on the spot. I refused. I wanted recognition before the crisis, I said. Now it's too late. That night I resigned. I accepted a job with Harrington as Chief Operations Officer. Full authority. Ownership stake. Real respect. My family said I was betraying them. The truth was they had already abandoned me. My last day was quiet. My father barely spoke to me. When he finally shook my hand, he said, "Good luck. This isn't my home anymore," I told him. 8 months later, I stood in Alexander's office overlooking the city. Harrington Tower gleamed in the sunlight. I had increased profits by 25%. I was valued. Then my phone rang. My father had suffered a heart attack. The company was failing. Dozens of families depended on it. For the first time, I considered helping. Not from guilt. Not from obligation. From strength. I called my sister. "I'll come talk," I said. No promises. Because real freedom isn't just walking away. It's choosing your next step on your own terms. And this time, whatever happens, the choice will be mine.